Good job, buddy.
You know, my first hike, I just wanted to take a walk in the woods like Bill Bryson, and now I'm climbing the 48. So has my vision gotten a little more focused over time? Absolutely. And it may go in all kinds of different directions, you don't know. We have this tagline that is, achieve a vision beyond your sight. But the essence really for me is that we all have the ability to set goals for ourselves, to see where we can be, to believe in your possibility, and then find the ways to get there. Sight lets you see where you are now. Vision lets you see where you can go. In 1989, when in the span of 2 weeks, I lost all of the vision in my right eye and a little over half in the left eye, I was obviously devastated. I mean, no one can predict how you're going to respond to that. And I had all the visions of things I wouldn't be able to do anymore. In the year 2000, when I transferred to total blindness, I was actually a lot more prepared for it. In 2003, when it began to hit me in other areas and we learned it could attack other parts of my brain, it reduced me to a wheelchair. The combination of blindness and that total loss of mobility that a wheelchair represented for me was probably the lowest time in my life. Before the 1800s, the White Mountains were listed as the Savage Mountains, sort of like on a map. When they'd say, beyond here, there be monsters.
He came to me and said, hey, I want to do these 48 peaks. And I said, great. And then I remember probably one of our next conversations about it was, hey, I really want to do Washington this summer. It's the baddest, meanest mountain out there.
And it sort of eases you into it. It starts with steps, and those are tiring, and big steps up. Those are hard for Randy. They're hard for everybody. They're just, big steps is big work for your legs. But then as the day goes on, it gets harder and harder and harder. And I think you don't notice until you're in the middle of some really tough stuff.
It's reported to have some of the worst weather, in New England. It snowed there on Thursday. The weather is very unpredictable.
And a lot of people have said, Washington, why are you starting with Washington? That's crazy. And it's occurred to some of us too, but maybe this way we learn the hard stuff first.
I have a very rewarding and powerful life. I'm very fortunate. And I have that because of great community around me, maybe because of a little bit of strength in myself as well. But I wouldn't have had those first steps if New Hampshire Association for the Blind hadn't helped me reach that. If Guiding Eyes for the Blind hadn't given me such a valuable asset as my buddy Quinn here. He helped teach my brain by doing the walking, how to heal the damaged areas or work around the damaged areas so that I could walk with the freedom that doesn't have me just walking across streets, but 4 years removed from a wheelchair, I'm going to summit the most challenging mountain in New England.
There's definitely a communication that goes on between the two of them when they're walking. Quinn will stop at any dangerous point and maybe shrug, or the way at one point we had to go up maybe a 2.5-foot step. Quinn stopped almost imperceptibly and then jumped up, and Randy was able to put his foot up and put it exactly in the right spot.
There's a little personal growth for me too. I understand what I could not do while I was in that wheelchair. And I knew that I was going to do everything I could to get beyond that.
Okay. Well, that's a little scramble narrow, huh? Yeah. Good job, buddy. Good tree. Good tree warning, buddy.
I don't know that I dreamed quite this big, but I didn't have the mighty Quinn then to help me with those dreams.
All right, you leader on this with me.
What about come on, Terry?
Randy's challenges, everybody knows what Randy's challenges are. He's blind, and he's climbing a mountain.
As a blind person worrying about your footing every step of the way, you have to be slow. And I can't rush that because being unsafe is worse than being slow. It means that everybody's going to wear their packs for a longer time. It means that everybody's going to be draining their precious water supply more quickly.
He doesn't want to be told what to do, which I totally understand. He wants to be given the challenge and see if he can defeat it on his own. That's just an intensely personal part of Randy's makeup. He doesn't want help. He does, but he wants it on his own terms.
Careful to let me feel enough, because it can sometimes be harder, more energy for me to have to listen to somebody directing me which takes a lot of energy and detail that I could get with my hands.
All right.
Give me the direction maybe by being above me so I kind of hone in on your voice for my direction of where I'm scrambling.
Okay. This will be one of the biggest challenges of this entire project, I think. It's how to give a little bit of help, but not too much, because that's what he wants.
Come on, buddy. Nice and steady. Come on, buddy.
What was fun and challenging for me were the 2 stream crossings that I did with Randy. I kind of had to learn on the spot exactly what he needs, and I think it's going to take definitely some practice, figuring out how much information is too much versus not enough. Kind of winging it and hopefully doing it right. It's about 10:30 and we've hit the gem pool. And we're about where I expected. Maybe a tad slower, but I don't want to say that to freak people out because this is about having fun as well as trying to get up there.
Tracy, did you say your knees are bothering?
No, for me, when I stop, it's harder for me to get started. So I'd rather just walk the whole thing and never stop if I could. So this has been hard because we've had a lot of stops.
At some point during the day, we noticed that one of Quinn's little booties was not completely around his paw, and that one of his claws, his thumb claw, was sticking out the top. We did fix it, but it was clear that it had made it pretty sore because it was kind of pinched. And that started to worry us all a little bit. But we did decide once we got up into the slabs where it was going to be easier to have some human guidance to let him have a rest. So what that turned into was me leading Randy up the climbing sections, up the entire route until we got about 200 yards from the hut. That was a great experience. It was extremely fatiguing. I have a lot more sympathy for Quinn now because you take the physical effort that it would normally be and triple it. The danger factor is a lot higher. It's mentally exhausting. It's exhilarating, but it's really exhausting.
I'm ready to resume.
5 minutes till Quinn's eating time.
First up, we're a partnership, and my role in this is to make sure that Quinn is safe and healthy in all aspects, because he's too important to me. This project is very important to me, but I can't put Quinn's health ever at risk for this project.
I think that Randy really sees Quinn as his link to freedom, and to have to forego his help and that partnership, it's more than a practical issue for him. I really think it's very symbolic, and I'm really proud of him for coming such a long way and being able to say, you know what, that's going to be better for him and I'll be fine.
Straight down. That's my right foot for the record, but it's okay.
Right here. There you go.
So we're here at sunset at Lake of Clouds Hut, and today was incredible in ways and frustrating in others. Probably most for Randy and maybe for Tracy. It was very challenging at times, and I think for the first half of the hike, we all were feeling pretty good and very charged and a lot of adrenaline. And then for the second mile, it basically was 2.4 miles up here. It took us 8 hours. I think this was an incredible lesson for us, and one where we might think, why did we pick the hardest one first? But it just shows us like how difficult this is. So we have some real concerns about tomorrow. It's not going to make Randy happy. I'm concerned about Randy lasting a long time. He's so stubborn, he just will, tell you everything's great and he'll just do it. And I'm concerned about Quinn as well. I don't think he has any real injury, but he can't do a day like that. And we're all tired as well. So we have to look at alternatives. So we're going to go talk about that right now. So the realities of today, we went 2.4 miles and it took us 8 hours. We all know that. It was awesome, but we need to talk about realities of tomorrow, obviously. We need to get down this mountain. So there are a couple options on the table, and we just want to have everybody kind of chime in. Cara and I have been looking at the map and looking at all the possibilities. Our opinion is it would be a real danger in taking the Jewel Trail back. It's a 6.5 mile trip from here up the summit, down the Jewel. And you can do the math with that. 2.4 today, it took us almost all day. We'd love to summit Washington, knowing that there's a possibility that we may not hike down the whole of it. So the options with that would be for all of us or some of us to take the Cog Railway. The other option we talked about was not summiting Washington, but going down Edmonds as originally planned and summiting Eisenhower, and Tracy could summit Monroe.
We came to summit Washington. Nobody's hurt. Maybe Quint's hurt. You say he's not. He's your dog. I trust you. I say that we summit Washington, and if we go down in the cog train, we go down in the cog train. Yeah.
Not being able to come down feels a little bit like failure to me, and you know how I feel about that.
Absolutely.
Could we summit now?
We could start now.
Right. We'll start now, die halfway up.
Lamps out. We're going.
We would probably be home by 2 a.m.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, maybe not.
Above that cloud that's kind of covering the sun right now, it's blue and like striated white clouds, and there's another big kind of.
I think he's got to be a little disappointed. I'm a little disappointed. I really thought that we would do this. I suspect that Randy is already reframing this in his head. It's probably hurting him, but he's already coming up with a different way to look at it and a different lens to view it through.
And it's, the sun is now dropped below the big cloud, and it's bright, bright.
I can look right at it. Bring it on. Good boy, buddy. Yeah. You know, one of the things that I don't really advertise, though, is that I'm not just doing this blind. The balance issue is killer. And it's worse than other times, you know, when you really strain and get exhausted. But there's no way to explain that to people, and that's not part of the story.
Sure.
Right? I just take the extra lumps and work through it.
Right.
When I first lost my eyes, I had been accomplishing things, and I believed in my power to handle those tough challenges. I think in part because the adversity I faced when I first lost my eyes, it so much transformed me. When I was in the wheelchair and Austin collapsed and died in a matter of 2 days, I wouldn't have believed it then. I was at the lowest point of my life. And you know, this is about as poignant as I can tell it. I have a good attitude, and I know it, and I get a lot of reward for it. And I never wished to die, but I stopped wishing to live for a little while.
Good boy. Yeah. I'm coming up with it.
I think I was starting to try to work forward with Austin, but I didn't feel like I was making that progress. But I think his loss maybe was the adversity I needed to help power my determination. I couldn't get up my street. Never mind, the tallest mountain in New England.
Where's 6254, Dave?
There's the Gulfside Trail. That's where we go up.
You know what? I think we should put a piece of kibble on it and let Quinn be the first. Quinn, hop up.
Hi there.
See this right here? That is you. Yeah!
The whole group feels like we came here to do Washington. We want to do that, even if it doesn't, quote unquote, mean we summited. I believe for, you know, all intents and purposes, we need to actually go up and down to call something a summit. But I think everybody really feels like they've become part of something bigger than just checking off a mountain.
You know, it's the St. Crispin speech. I wouldn't wish for one man more, because that group is the group that did it. And there's a lot of aspects to doing it, and that group was enough for it.
After we decided that this was the best way, the whole group committed to coming up this mountain when we attempted again. Randy is a very sentimental guy. He's got a big heart, and I think having people really love and support him is taking the sting off of this.
This is the epitome of believing in a possibility that most people wouldn't, and that applies to everybody, not just me. So whatever it is that you might want to do, and absolutely find a way to be passionate about something, because that's what gives life meaning. Find what matters to you. Get out there and do it.